Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about disappearing not in the sense of vanishing into thin air, but in the way we sometimes feel the need to step back, recalibrate, and transform ourselves. Life has a way of piling on the expectations, the roles, and the masks we wear for survival. But what if disappearing isn't about running away, but about peeling back layers to find the truth of who we are? In our fast-paced world, we are constantly moving, doing, and achieving. The pressure to keep up with the relentless flow of work, expectations, and life can make us feel like we're always supposed to be in motion. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful things you can do for your growth and transformation is to stop, even for a moment? Embracing the power of pause isn't just about taking a break, it's about creating the space to reflect, recharge, and realign ourselves with what truly matters. We live in a culture that celebrates productivity. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the more we do, the more valuable we are. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor, convincing ourselves that being constantly occupied means we're being successful. But in reality, this constant motion can rob us of our ability to see the big picture, to check in with ourselves, and to understand if the direction we're heading is truly aligned with our authentic self. Taking a pause doesn't mean we stop being productive. It means we become intentional about what we're doing and why we're doing it. When we're constantly running, we rarely have the clarity to ask ourselves the important questions. Why are we doing what we're doing? Is this serving us, or is it just a reaction to external pressures? The pause allows us to reflect, to examine, and to discern what's truly important. Now, I know the idea of pausing can be uncomfortable for many of us. We've been conditioned to think that if we stop, we'll fall behind, or worse, be seen as lazy or unproductive. But the truth is, when we don't pause, we risk burning out, losing touch with our passions, and ultimately disconnecting from who we really are. We end up running on autopilot. And while that may seem like efficiency, it's actually a recipe for exhaustion and disillusionment. The power of pause lies in its ability to help us reconnect with ourselves. It's in the stillness that we get to hear our own thoughts, our own desires, and our own truths. It's in the pause that we can step outside of the noise and start to truly listen to what our body, heart, and soul need. Sometimes we're so caught up in the day-to-day grind that we forget we have inner wisdom guiding us, but that wisdom only speaks in moments of stillness and reflection. Taking a pause also gives us the opportunity to reset. When we're constantly moving forward, it's easy to get caught in a cycle of doing without considering whether the direction we're heading is the right one. A pause allows us to recalibrate, to check in with our goals, and to assess if the choices we're making are leading us closer to the life we want to create. It's not about abandoning our responsibilities, it's about making sure we're putting our energy into the right places. We may think that a pause is a luxury we can't afford, but in reality, it's a necessity for long-term success and well-being. When we allow ourselves to pause, we give ourselves permission to rest and restore, to heal and grow. Transformation doesn't happen in the hustle. It happens when we stop, take a breath, and reflect on where we've been and where we want to go. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed or like you're running on empty, remember that the power of pause is within your reach. It's not a sign of weakness, nor is it an indication that you're falling behind. It's a powerful tool for resetting, realigning, and ultimately allowing yourself to grow and transform. In those moments of stillness, you give yourself the gift of clarity, self-awareness, and the courage to move forward with purpose. The pause isn't just about slowing down, it's about creating space for the life you truly want to live. It's an invitation to reconnect with your authentic self and make choices that honor your deepest values. So take that pause. Embrace it. Let it be a catalyst for your transformation. Perfectionism is a powerful force that can shape our lives in ways we don't even realize. It creeps in slowly, convincing us that in order to be worthy of love, respect, or success, we must constantly strive for flawlessness. We start to wear perfectionism like armor, protecting ourselves from judgment, rejection, and the vulnerability of being human. But what happens when that armor becomes too heavy to carry? When it no longer protects us but holds us back? Shed the armor of perfectionism is one of the most transformative acts we can undertake on our journey toward authenticity and self-acceptance. At first, the idea of letting go of perfectionism may sound terrifying. After all, it's so deeply embedded in our culture and often in our own minds that we believe perfection is the key to achieving greatness. We've been taught to believe that mistakes are failures, that imperfections are weaknesses, and that anything less than perfect is not enough. But here's the truth: perfectionism is not the path to success or happiness. In fact, it's often the very thing that keeps us from living fully and authentically. Perfectionism isn't the same as striving for excellence. Striving for excellence is about setting high standards for yourself and working hard to achieve them, but it's grounded in self-compassion and resilience. Perfectionism, on the other hand, is driven by fear and shame. It's the fear of being judged, the fear of being seen as inadequate, and the shame that tells us we're not enough as we are. When we live under the rule of perfectionism, we constantly feel like we're falling short. It creates a cycle of anxiety and self-doubt that prevents us from truly engaging with our own potential. We put up walls to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable. But in the process, we end up hiding the very parts of ourselves that could help us grow. Shed the armor of perfectionism means allowing yourself to be imperfect and vulnerable. It means saying to yourself, I am enough, even in my messiness and mistakes. Letting go of perfectionism means giving yourself permission to not have it all together all the time. It means freeing yourself from the crippling need to control every aspect of your life and recognizing that growth and creativity come from taking risks, making mistakes, and learning along the way. When we shed the armor of perfectionism, we begin to understand that our worth is not defined by our achievements or how we are perceived by others. Our value is inherent in who we are as human beings, not in what we do or how flawlessly we do it. This shift in mindset allows us to take risks, experiment, and step into new opportunities without the paralyzing fear of failure. We become more comfortable with uncertainty because we no longer attach our identity to the outcome of every single thing we do. One of the most profound aspects of shedding perfectionism is the way it transforms our relationships. When we are no longer hiding behind an image of perfection, we can show up as our true selves. We stop pretending to have it all together and start embracing the messy, imperfect parts of our lives. This creates space for deeper, more authentic connections. People are drawn to vulnerability, not perfection. When we allow ourselves to be imperfect, we give others permission to do the same. This fosters an environment of acceptance, understanding, and compassion where real growth can take place. Shed the armor of perfectionism also means letting go of the fear of judgment. We live in a world that constantly tells us we should be more, do more, and be better. But in reality, the pursuit of perfection often leads us to a place of exhaustion and burnout. We spend so much energy trying to meet external expectations that we lose sight of what we truly want. The path to self-acceptance is about rejecting those external pressures and finding the courage to live in alignment with our own values and desires. So how do we begin to shed the armor of perfectionism? It starts with self-compassion, acknowledging that we are human, that we are allowed to make mistakes, and that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love, success, and fulfillment. It means giving ourselves permission to try, to fail, and to try again, knowing that each step we take is part of our journey, not a measure of our worth. Letting go of perfectionism isn't easy, but it's one of the most freeing and transformative things we can do. It's about creating space for authenticity, growth, and connection. When we shed the armor of perfectionism, we step into the fullness of who we are, with all our flaws, fears, and dreams. And in doing so, we become more alive, more open, and more real than we've ever been. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful tools for transformation and connection, yet it is often one of the most feared. We live in a society that tells us to be strong, independent, and unshakable. We are taught to hide our weaknesses and to put up walls to protect ourselves from judgment, rejection, and failure. But the truth is, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a source of incredible strength and the key to living a meaningful, connected life. To dare to be vulnerable is to have the courage to show up as we truly are, without the masks, the facades, or the need to pretend that we have it all together. It is to allow ourselves to be seen in our rawest, most authentic form, even when it feels uncomfortable or terrifying. Vulnerability is about embracing uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure, something that can feel deeply unsettling in a world that prizes control and certainty. When we dare to be vulnerable, we are essentially choosing to let go of perfectionism and embrace imperfection. We are allowing ourselves to be human, to have flaws, to make mistakes, and to feel deeply without the fear that doing so will make us unworthy of love or acceptance. In fact, it is through our vulnerability that we are able to experience true connection and intimacy with others. It is through vulnerability that we allow ourselves to be truly known and understood, not for our achievements or the image we project, but for who we really are beneath the surface. But why is vulnerability so scary? Often it's because we have been conditioned to believe that showing our true selves will lead to rejection, judgment, or failure. We have learned to associate vulnerability with weakness, when in reality, it's the bravest thing we can do. It takes a great deal of courage to show up without the armor of perfection, to speak our truth, and to allow others to see us in our most vulnerable moments. And yet, it's in those moments that we often experience the most profound growth and connection. When we open ourselves to vulnerability, we are also opening ourselves to the possibility of experiencing deep joy, love, and fulfillment. Vulnerability allows us to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to be fully present in the moments that matter most. It is through vulnerability that we create the space for meaningful relationships to flourish, whether in our personal lives or in our work. The people who are truly drawn to us are not the ones who admire our achievements or our polished images, but the ones who connect with us on a deeper level, who see us for who we truly are, flaws and all. Yet, despite its power, vulnerability is often met with resistance. We hesitate to be vulnerable because we fear judgment or rejection. We fear that if we show our true selves, we will not be accepted or loved. But the paradox is that when we hide behind walls and protect ourselves from vulnerability, we are also hiding from the possibility of true connection. It is in those moments of emotional exposure that we can experience the deepest form of human connection, where we see others and are seen in return. To dare to be vulnerable means to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. It means stepping into the unknown, not knowing how others will respond or whether we will succeed or fail. But it is also in this space of vulnerability that we find our greatest strength. Vulnerability allows us to learn, to grow, and to transform. It is the key to embracing our imperfections and using them as a source of power and authenticity. When we choose vulnerability, we choose to live wholeheartedly. We choose to engage with life fully without the fear of failure or rejection holding us back. We allow ourselves to be seen, to be loved, and to be accepted for who we truly are, not for who we think we should be. It is through vulnerability that we create the conditions for our most meaningful relationships to thrive, and it is through vulnerability that we begin to experience the freedom of being ourselves. So the next time you find yourself holding back, afraid to speak your truth or show your real emotions, I encourage you to take a step forward into vulnerability. Dare to be seen, dare to be imperfect, and dare to be human. It is in these moments of courage and emotional exposure that you will find the strength, connection, and growth that will transform your life. Vulnerability is not something to be feared. It is the key to living a life of authenticity, joy, and deep connection. And when you dare to be vulnerable, you will find that the world opens up to you in ways you never imagined possible. Our lives are shaped by the stories we tell ourselves. These stories are powerful, so powerful, so powerful, in fact, that they can dictate the course of our lives and influence how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Yet, too often, we get stuck in old narrative stories of failure, of inadequacy, of being unworthy. These stories can become so ingrained that they feel like the truth, and we live our lives as though we are bound by them. But the incredible truth is that we have the power to rewrite these stories at any point in our lives. We can change the script, let go of the past, and step into a new chapter that aligns with who we truly want to be. Rewriting your story doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it didn't happen. It's about acknowledging that while the past may have shaped you, it doesn't have to define you. The story you've been telling yourself up until now is just one version of who you are. And that version doesn't have to be the one you carry forever. Our past experiences, both the good and the bad, don't have to hold us captive. Instead, they can become the fuel for our growth, helping us to create a new narrative that empowers us to move forward with confidence, authenticity, and purpose. So what does it mean to rewrite your story? It starts with awareness. We need to take a hard, honest look at the stories we've been telling ourselves. What are the beliefs we hold about ourselves that are keeping us stuck? Do we believe we're not good enough? Do we think we'll never succeed? These stories often stem from past experiences, societal pressures, or messages we receive from others. But just because these beliefs are old doesn't mean they are true or that they have to dictate our future. Rewriting your story begins with challenging those limiting beliefs and rewriting them into something that serves you. It's about recognizing that you have the agency to decide who you want to be, regardless of what happened in the past. Maybe you've made mistakes or faced setbacks, but those moments don't define your worth or your potential. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has encountered obstacles, made missteps, and failed along the way. But those failures are not the end of the story, they are the stepping stones to growth. Rewriting your story also requires us to embrace vulnerability. It's easy to hold on to old stories because they feel safe even when they are limiting. The idea of stepping into a new narrative can be intimidating because it requires us to be brave enough to let go of the comfort of familiarity. But it's in this space of vulnerability that transformation happens. When we dare to let go of our old story and create a new one, we are opening ourselves up to the possibility of something better, something truer to who we really are. One of the most important aspects of rewriting your story is choosing to focus on your strengths and your potential, not your limitations. It's about moving away from a narrative of I'm not good enough or I'll never change and replacing it with I am capable. And I have the power to create the life I want. It's easy to get caught up in a narrative of self-doubt, especially when life hasn't gone as planned. But when you choose to focus on what you can control, the choices you make, the actions you take, and the person you decide to become, you start to see the vast array of possibilities open to you. The power to change your life is within you, and the first step is choosing to tell yourself a new story. Rewriting your story also involves letting go of perfectionism. We often get stuck in the idea that we need to have it all figured out before we can move forward, or that we need to live up to some idealized version of success or happiness. But life is messy and unpredictable, and part of rewriting your story is giving yourself permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to learn as you go. Perfection isn't the goal, growth is. Finally, rewriting your story means giving yourself permission to dream and to set new goals for yourself. It's about stepping into the role of the author of your life, rather than remaining stuck as a passive character in a narrative you didn't choose. When you rewrite your story, you take control of the plot, the direction, and the ultimate ending. You have the power to decide who you want to be, what kind of life you want to create, and how you want to show up in the world. It's never too late to change the course of your story. Rewriting your story is an act of self-love and empowerment. It's an acknowledgement that you are not bound by your past, but rather that you have the power to shape your future. It's about choosing to step into the fullest expression of yourself, knowing that you are worthy of the life you desire. So take a moment to reflect on the story you've been telling yourself and ask yourself, what do I want my story to be from this point forward? The next chapter is yours to write. In a world where social media and external validation often dictate our sense of worth, the desire for approval can feel overwhelming. We seek likes, comments, and affirmations from others, believing that these external markers of approval are what define our value. But the truth is, approval is fleeting. It's based on the opinions of others, which are often shaped by transient trends, misunderstandings, or superficial judgments. In contrast, connection, true, deep, meaningful connection, is something that nourishes us from within. It's the foundation of authentic relationships, personal growth, and emotional well-being. Seeking approval is about trying to fit into someone else's mold, to live up to an image or standard set by external forces. It's about playing a role in someone else's story rather than writing your own. When we seek approval, we often compromise who we are, altering ourselves to meet the expectations of others. We may change our behavior, our appearance, or our opinions to gain favor, only to find that it's never enough. No matter how much we achieve or how many people approve of us, the feeling of fulfillment is always temporary. The approval we receive can be taken away just as quickly as it's given, leaving us feeling empty and uncertain. Connection, on the other hand, is different. It's not about changing who we are to fit someone else's expectations. It's about being seen and understood for who we truly are, without the need to pretend or wear a mask. When we seek connection, we open ourselves to genuine relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and shared vulnerability. Connection is about showing up as our authentic selves, not because we want to be validated, but because we want to engage with others in a meaningful way. It's about finding people who resonate with our true essence, who appreciate us for who we are, flaws and all. True connection is not contingent on approval. When we seek approval, we are essentially outsourcing our sense of worth to others. We let the judgments, criticisms, and praise of others define how we feel about ourselves. But this external validation is unreliable and inconsistent. It can fluctuate depending on the mood or opinions of the people around us. It's impossible to control, and when we tie our self-worth to it, we are constantly at the mercy of others' perceptions. In contrast, when we seek connection, we base our worth on our own values and experiences. We engage with others from a place of self-assurance and authenticity. Connection is about meeting others where they are, without needing them to change or adapt to our desires. It's about embracing both the light and dark aspects of ourselves and allowing others to do the same. When we seek connection, we acknowledge that we are not perfect, but that we are worthy of love, friendship, and understanding just as we are. Moreover, seeking connection fosters emotional intimacy and vulnerability. It's in these moments of openness and rawness that the deepest bonds are formed. When we stop seeking approval and focus instead on building connections, we create spaces where both people can share their true thoughts, feelings, and experiences. We stop pretending to be someone we're not and begin to nurture relationships that are rooted in genuine understanding and mutual respect. Seeking connection also means letting go of the fear of judgment. We all have moments where we worry about how others perceive us, but when we focus on building true connections, we learn to let go of the need for everyone to like or accept us. Not everyone will connect with us in the way we hope, and that's okay. True connection doesn't require universal approval. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and openness. It's about finding the people who see us for who we really are and who love and support us regardless of our flaws. Furthermore, when we seek connection rather than approval, we are free to pursue our passions and dreams without the fear of what others might think. We can make choices based on what aligns with our values, not what will garner the most praise. In doing so, we begin to live a life that is true to ourselves rather than one dictated by the need for external validation. We stop seeking the approval of others to feel good about ourselves, and instead, we learn to cultivate a deep sense of self-worth that is independent of anyone else's opinions. Seeking connection, not approval, is the key to building authentic, fulfilling relationships and living a life of purpose. It's about embracing who we are, flaws and all, and finding the people who accept and appreciate us for it. It's about engaging with others on a deeper level, not because we want something from them, but because we want to share our true selves with the world. When we prioritize connection over approval, we not only enrich our relationships, but also create space for personal growth, emotional well-being, and a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external praise can provide. When we go through life's challenges, whether they are personal, professional, or relational, we often face moments of transformation. These moments can be painful, disorienting, and overwhelming, but they also offer us an opportunity to rise strong in new ways. Transformation is about shedding the old and stepping into the unknown, like a snake shedding its skin to emerge with something fresh. In this process, we sometimes find ourselves in unfamiliar territory our old selves no longer fit, and the new self we are becoming doesn't yet feel fully comfortable. Yet this is the time to rise strong, to embrace the discomfort, and to claim the power that comes with owning our new skin. Rising strong in your new skin is about more than just surviving life's challenges, it's about thriving through them. It's about acknowledging the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty that come with change, and still choosing to move forward with courage and grace. It's about having the audacity to believe that who you are becoming is worth the struggle, the discomfort, and the risk of stepping into the unknown. The process of transformation can feel like a rebirth, and just like any new beginning, it takes time and patience to fully embrace it. One of the most difficult aspects of rising strong in your new skin is letting go of the past. We often find ourselves holding on to the person we used to be, whether because we are afraid of losing our identity or because we feel safe in the familiar. The fear of what we might lose in the process of transformation can be paralyzing, but holding on to old versions of ourselves keeps us stagnant. The truth is, the old skin no longer fits. It may have once served us well, but it no longer aligns with who we are becoming. Letting go of the past doesn't mean abandoning who we were, it means releasing the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us so that we can grow into who we are meant to be. As we step into the new skin of our transformation, we may feel vulnerable. There is often an instinct to protect ourselves during times of change, but vulnerability is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. It's in our vulnerability that we discover our strength. When we allow ourselves to feel the discomfort of the new, we allow ourselves to truly experience the process of growth. Vulnerability is the space where we learn new things about ourselves and where we begin to trust in our resilience. Rising strong means owning that vulnerability, not as a weakness, but as the courage to be seen, to be real, and to move forward even when the path is unclear. Rising strong in your new skin also means being willing to face failure, disappointment, and setbacks along the way. Transformation is rarely a linear process. We will fall down, question ourselves, and encounter obstacles. But the key to rising strong is not in avoiding failure, but in using it as a stepping stone. Each challenge we face offers us valuable lessons, and each setback gives us an opportunity to refine who we are and what we stand for. It's about having the resilience to rise, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. Our new skin is built through these experiences, through the moments when we thought we couldn't go on but did anyway. Another crucial element of rising strong is self-compassion. As we navigate the uncomfortable terrain of change, it's easy to be hard on ourselves. We may feel that we should be further along in our journey, that we should be more confident or more certain of our new self. But self-compassion is about embracing where we are right now without judgment. It's about offering ourselves the same kindness, patience, and understanding that we would offer a friend who is going through a similar experience. Rising strong requires us to be gentle with ourselves as we adjust to the new skin we are wearing, to acknowledge our efforts and to honor our progress, no matter how small it may seem. Rising strong in your new skin is also about embracing authenticity. Often when we go through a transformation, we worry about how others will perceive us. We fear that others won't accept the changes we are making, or that we will be judged for the new version of ourselves we are becoming. But the power in transformation lies in being unapologetically yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. When we rise strong, we let go of the need to conform to others' expectations and instead honor our true selves. We no longer feel the need to wear a mask or hide behind an image of perfection. We rise strong by showing up as our authentic selves, knowing that this is the person we are meant to be. Finally, rising strong in your new skin means embracing the idea that you are not defined by your past or your mistakes. You are not limited by your previous experiences, nor are you defined by what you have overcome. You are defined by your capacity to grow, to change, and to step into your fullest potential. The new skin you wear is a symbol of your resilience, your growth, and your willingness to embrace the unknown. It's a reminder that you are always evolving and that every step of the journey is part of your story. So, as you step into your new skin, remember this: you are worthy of transformation. You are worthy of the discomfort that comes with growth, the uncertainty of change, and the courage to rise stronger than ever. Embrace the journey, trust in yourself, and rise with the strength that comes from fully owning the person you are becoming. Your new skin is a testament to your resilience and your willingness to become the truest, most authentic version of yourself.